What does it mean when people say, I consider myself to be a spiritual but not religious type of person? What does spiritual but not religious mean? The way I hear it, and I've heard it many, many times from people over the years, the way I hear it is that people are saying, I don't prefer to be part of a community. I prefer to pursue my own spiritual growth on my own. And I really can understand this perspective. I actually am glad when people say that they're pursuing their spirituality in any way. I would rather hear somebody say, I'm a spiritual but not religious person, than to hear somebody say, I'm religious, but I don't consider my spirituality very important. Because the thing is, religion is supposed to be, ideally, a vehicle for helping people understand their spirituality and to grow and receive some sort of spiritual benefit. So, if you go to a church or a synagogue or a mosque or a temple and you consider yourself religious, but you don't have anything that's happening to you spiritually or any kind of spiritual growth, then what's the point? That's kind of like going into a restaurant and never eating food, or going into a movie theater and the movie never playing. I mean, you're there to be you're there at a religious experience in order to grow spiritually. I get that. And I think that if somebody said to me, sort of the equivalent of like, well, I really like to eat food, but I don't like to go to a restaurant, then I might wonder, why do you not like to be around people when you're eating food? Did you have some sort of a bad experience? Did the restaurant make you sick? Are the people very unfriendly at that restaurant? We all need food. And similarly, I believe that we need community in our spiritual growth, because here's the thing: the spiritual principles that you identify as important to you, say it's for you growing in peace and patience, or say it's for you right now you're trying to grow spiritually in terms of joy and a sense of greater well-being and abundance in your life, or say for you you're trying to find some greater purpose in your life. Whatever the spiritual track is that you're on, you will only be encouraged by people if you have a good, healthy community around you. You will be encouraged by people who are on a similar track of spiritual growth, there to encourage you, and you'll have the resources of the rituals and the spiritual stories and the art and the architecture and the meditations and the classes, or whatever the tools are that help you in that journey. So if you say, well, I want to be spiritual, but I don't want to be religious, rather I don't want to be in a community, then I might wonder what happened in your community. Maybe something that hurt you. Maybe it's like going into a restaurant and getting food poisoning. The restaurant served the food, but the experience wasn't a very good one. And so, maybe you've been to churches or other forms of religious expression that were not very healthy or helpful for you. Maybe the community was much more rule oriented and legalistic and all about the doctrines and the things you're supposed to do and not do. Maybe it was more focused on that than focused on your spiritual growth, which is unfortunate. And you get the wide variety in religious life, just like you get wide variety in terms of restaurants. You get the good, the bad, and the ugly. You have to explore restaurants to find, who has the good food, the nourishing food, the good service, the friendly people, and all of that you enjoy. So too, it's like that with a religious life. You can find those places that are not good and not helpful for your spiritual growth, but you can also find those places where you will find a community that does fit your needs, that does serve you, as you then learn how to serve others, as we are all communal people. So my wish for people, my hope for people, is that they can find a religious expression where they can feel slightly challenged, slightly pushed to the next level in terms of their spiritual growth. But much more than that, they can feel loved and supported and encouraged and embraced, so that their spiritual development can happen naturally. So it's not going to be forced by challenges all the time, certainly not forced by having to fit a square peg into a round hole and be told that you're not something good or something shaming like that, of course. and not even something that you have to really strive very hard for, but more that you are encouraged and loved so that your spiritual life opens up naturally and develops naturally. That is the goal for religious expressions. So when you go to a church, synagogue, mosque, temple, whatever it is, that the music around you, the art around you, the storytelling around you, and the people around you naturally help bring you into that next phase of your spiritual growth and development, which for all of us is a lifetime journey to become more of who we're supposed to be, more of our authentic selves. And that is the spiritual journey, to become more of who we were created in our deepest core to be. So for me in my life, this has taken some searching around, looking at different expressions of religion to match the religious community with what was at my core spiritually and what was really calling forth out of me in terms of how to be an authentic person in this life. It took a while for me to match that and to find a good place for me that felt right. So my wish for you, for all of you out there, is that you do consider your spiritual life a priority, because a spiritual life, again, just simply means who you are authentically, what your spirit really calls forth yourself to become. It is for everybody who they're meant to be. And so you take that seriously, and then hopefully you can find a community that will honor you and love you and support you exactly as you are. And so then in that place of peace and joy and love, your natural self can come forth more than ever. If you find that that's not happening and you don't feel encouraged and loved, if the community is so much more about doctrines and rules and shame, it's kind of like leave the restaurant. You can also leave a spiritual community or a religious community if it's not feeding and nourishing your soul. As a pastor, what I encourage people to do is more than even take seriously what the religion is all about, take seriously their own spiritual life. So I wish that for you too. Take seriously your own spiritual life. You deserve it. You only have one life to live, and you deserve to be the best self that you can be, and to be surrounded by people who love you, who encourage you, and bring out the very best of you. Have a wonderful day. Subscribe to this channel, please, and go ahead and share these videos if they're ever helpful or you think that somebody might benefit from that. Appreciate it. Take care. Bye-bye.